Welcome to Bear and Bass. I'm Jeff Burkus. Other side of the screen, Lester A. Wiltfong Jr. Lester, the Chicago Bears got a victory. How sweet does that taste?
It's a long time coming. I know we talk a little on the pre-show. Yeah, they got one last year to close out the season against the Packers, but I did the math for our entire run of Bear and Balanced. And I like math is a little challenging sometimes, but I'm pretty sure I got this right. 22 wins, 49 losses during the Bear and Balance run. So it's good to talk about a win here for us, the 22nd time ever.
Now, obviously, we have nothing to do with it. We just cover the post game, so we're not contributing to game planning. They don't take our calls as much as we try, right? Especially in the Flus era, we were trying to send them some information, but did not work. With the Ben Johnson era, we feel like they're pretty good hands. We're not really probably going to be able to help too much. So we feel pretty excited about this victory number one in the Ben Johnson era. Obviously, we would have loved it if it would have come 2 weeks ago. Obviously, it would have been great last week too, but given circumstances, I'm not even entertaining that one. This was great. This was great, though. And we're going to get into a bunch of stuff. Before we get into it, because I didn't know where else to put this in the show, I just want to say kudos to Olamide Zaccheaus for just wanting to celebrate, man. You need guys on your team that are ready to just hit a high five, whatever the case is in the end zone. He was always running into the end zone to celebrate with his guys. He didn't get in himself. And there was one shot of him just trying to just horizontal jumping into the screen because he's so excited. Yeah. And I just think that's great. You want that. You want that kind of guy. You want the hype guy with you, even though he's not getting the ball. He's as excited for you as you are for yourself. I love that. I didn't know where else to put it. I just wanted to get it out up top.
No, it's good to have those guys who are just excited. I mean, they love life. They love football. Luther Burden today at his they talked about at his locker. He was screaming because he loves scoring touchdowns so much. That's what you want to see. You want to see the passion. That's what fans have been wanting for a long time. And now we have Ben Johnson. Perhaps that'll actually come to fruition where we can actually see some good stuff happening, where there is something to celebrate for a change.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into it. Our first category, as always, is Trench Tribute. We like to start up front because that's where the football is played, my friend. Yeah, exactly. So what are we doing? Where do you want to go here for your Trench Tribute?
There's a lot of ways to go. This week, it's last week we had a hard time figuring this spot out. I think I made a tongue-in-cheek pick. This week, now it's going to be real. Braxton Jones, left tackle, took a lot of flack this whole season, right? So I'm on the Twitter last night, and Joseph Hoyt, who actually he covers the Cowboys, he sent out this tweet about Next Gen Stats, and I saw it, and I'm like, I had no idea. Braxton Jones is the fourth left tackle this year to not allow a single pressure in a game. In the first 2 weeks, he allowed 12 pressures on 79 pass blocking attempts. O-line coach Dan Rochard this week's talking about how he's been struggling. They're aware of it. It seemed like they may do a rotation with him because they kind of talked about his conditioning. He wasn't really, able to play a full game. And Braxton Jones says, my friend, I'm going to play this whole game. I'm going to shut down those Dallas Cowboy defensive ends and no pressures. Braxton Jones, what the hell's going on?
So first name I wrote down was Braxton. So we're on the same page. And I think what we have to recognize is obviously he's coming back from an injury. And you don't have a full camp. You're working your way back into playing shape. And I think what we've noticed is that the first half of football games is certainly different than the second half.
Yeah.
He probably is wearing out. He's probably just not in game condition yet. And he's working towards that. So that's that. And then obviously you're working your way back from injury. And so we had heard that maybe Theo Benedict was going to come in and rotate a little bit to make sure that you could keep Braxton fresh. And what happened was we did see Benedict.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make sure we mentioned him as well for a little Trench Tribute because he came in for right when he needed to go out to tend to his arm that got pinned on a run play. And I thought he looked good. He looked like he played. So this, I think we maybe aren't necessarily guilty of this, but certainly others have been very what is this UDFA Canada guy who cares, kind of brushing him off like
short arms, right?
You
hear that a lot,
right? Yeah, the short arm, the T-Rex tackle and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, at some point, if he gets in the game and he starts looking good, you have to just say, well, these coaches saw this, and he's ahead of the other guys on the depth chart for a reason, because he's outplaying them. And draft position doesn't matter. Once you put the navy and orange on, who cares what your draft position is? You want the best guys out on the field. And so if he's ready to contribute, if he was ready to come in at left tackle and take, a couple series away from Braxton to keep him fresh, that's a pretty big news in my mind. But he was ready to step in for Darnell Wright when he had to go out for a few plays, and stepped in for him, and I thought played solid football. So they scored a touchdown on the drive that he was in. So to me, I think they both deserve the Trench tribute this week.
That was good call there. I mean, he's the guy that's been the OL6 coming in on your jumbo package. He's the guy that has that Dan Skipper role that Ben Johnson had in Detroit, obviously. He is now kind of your swing guy because he's getting reps at left side. You saw him at right tackle. Ozzie Trapillo is more right tackle exclusive now. He's been inactive the last couple of weeks. Karana Magaji just went an injured reserve. So your backup left tackle is going to be Theo Benedict for the rest of the season probably. So kudos to him for getting in there and looking like a competent football player.
Yep, love it. Well, let's hit on the social media portion, our sweet tweets. I think we both went with the same theme, so this is going to be fun. Why don't you start off with yours?
So I saw this and I cracked up. Like I gotta highlight this. So it's from David, aka Davey Dots, who is Dot17 on Twitter. Ben Johnson didn't use any timeouts during today's game against the Cowboys. This was a subtle nod to former head coach Matt Eberflus, who was on this other sideline for Dallas. And of course, he's referencing last year when Flus kept a timeout in his pocket on Thanksgiving, which kind of led to his ultimate firing. So just the difference in the Ben Johnson 3 games in the offseason to the Flus era, it's night and day. I couldn't be happier with where the Bears headed. We do the confidence poll each week at WCG. And look, the Bears lost the first 2 weeks. I'm still confident in the franchise because of Ben Johnson. I still believe in him as a head coach. I believe in his vision. Look, he may have to kind of cover up some warts for his GM, but I think he can do it. I think he's going to be the guy that kind of takes this franchise to the next level.
Did you catch Ben Johnson's post-game locker room speech?
Yes.
I know there was a lot of people comparing and contrasting it with the Flus speech, and I'm all for Dragon Flus. Like, believe me, I'm all for it. I feel like I've done my share, but I'm all for other people joining in. But what I thought was he mentioned something where he made particular mention of the end of the first half execution.
Yeah.
And it was so good, Lester. It was so good how they played the clock so that they knew that they weren't going to give Dallas any meaningful time. And then they hit the chunk play, and all of a sudden, well, now we're in a position where we can score a touchdown here.
Yeah.
And then they just went ahead and did that. And I was like, wait, this is what a real football team does. And they really kind of put the game, I don't want to say away, but that was a huge moment in that game, and is a really huge swing. Flus probably is going to give the ball back, or he's going to run it 3 times, give the ball back, and hope his defense can hold and just run into the locker room. Or it's maybe they try to play for a long field goal. I mean, there's the mentality of the last regime is very different than what the Ben Johnson regime is smart clock management and attacking, right? And it really worked here. And so I love that. It's just not necessarily, it's a contrast of styles, right?
You mentioned Eberflus locker room speech. Did you see the tweet from our guy Brendan Shagrew?
What did he say?
He
had the 2.
He had the 2 videos side by side, and you look at the energy in the locker room with Ben Johnson, the energy in the locker room with Flus, and it's like, this guy's in church. Like, why is he so quiet? It's like a mouse. Like, what is happening here? They just won a game, his first win of his era back then, and nothing. Like the players were like, okay, whatever, and it's that kind of that's his tenure, right? I mean, it was kind of like it was, especially going from the Matt Nagy era, who was like Club Dub, all excited when they get some wins. Here comes Flus, like nothing, and now here we are with Ben Johnson, and just the energy he brings, the energy of the players. You could see how the players love him. I mean, they're really, really excited to get him his first win. I mean, they kind of put him in the huddle. They messed up his hairdo and everything. It's like, man, these guys love their head coach. This is going to work out.
It sure feels like it. It's so exciting, Lester. I don't know how else to say it. Yeah. Don't want to overreact because this is the balance show. All right, mine, similar vein. Our friend Adam, he's at _ Adam Hess, which negative marks for a Twitter handle that starts off with an underscore. I don't know how that worked out for him, but that's unfortunate.
It's all the other Adam Hesses out there.
Yeah, it must be a ton. I only one in my book. So he says yesterday will end up being Matt Eberflus's greatest contribution to Caleb Williams' development, which I think is very funny. But I also think that, there's some truth to the fact that the Cowboys defense is not very good. They made Russell Wilson look pretty good, and he has not looked good on the other games. I watched the Cowboys' other games. The defense has not looked good. They've lacked a difference maker at pass rusher. I don't know what happened in their offseason that they maybe missed that. But I do think that the moment in time and where Caleb's at in the season, he really needed one of these games against a lower tier defense just to show where he's at against somebody that's not Brian Flores, right? There was a graph out from The Athletic from Mike Sando early. I don't know if you caught this.
I did see that. Yeah,
it was like added EPA based on maybe the games that they've won or whatever, but offense, defense, and special teams for the Minnesota Vikings, and it's all defense. And it, as much as KOC deserves a lot of credit up there, Brian Flores is really doing great work with that Minnesota Vikings defense, and they're winning a lot of football games because of it. That was out of the gate. That was the first game in a new offense, and everything's just a little clunky. Then he had the motivated team on the short week going up to Detroit. I don't want to make excuses because that was a terrible game, particularly for the defense. But you just kind of needed a get right game, and Eberflus is very, Eberflus versus Ben Johnson in terms of strategy, in terms of offensive play caller versus defensive play caller. It's a grandmaster of chess playing somebody who's just learned how to move the pieces, what it seems like, right? And so that was very useful. But I think just overall for Caleb and for the national narrative and for the fans and for the home game and all that stuff, it was a really meaningful moment to be able to face a team like the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, you have to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. And look, this game was, the odds makers had it as a real close game, but the Bears that's not going to happen here. The Bears came out and, there was a moment where the Cowboys caught up, right? When the Bears were winning and they looked like they had the game in hand. Next thing you know, it's 14-14. And as Bears fans, we're oh, here we go. We've seen this story before. Here comes the Cowboys. It's going to turn. And no, it didn't turn. You mentioned it. They went down at the half. They got some points. And everything felt different this week. And look, it's not going to always be like this. There's some pretty good teams coming up. Not this week. Hopefully the Vegas Raiders, they have a chance to go out there and do something similar to this. But yeah, you have to put it on these teams that don't have the best of defenses. And that's what you're supposed to do. And then if your offense is clicking, now your defense can go after the passer and make some plays. This defense that was so bad in the second half, they kind of stepped up and they made some plays. They got some turnovers. They got some sacks. That's what you want to see. If one thing clicks, it all starts clicking. And here we go. The Bears are clicking. One game, but they're clicking.
One game. But, that game flow did sort of change Ben Johnson's mentality in the second half too, right? That long drive, that was incredible. 19 plays, 11 straight runs.
11 straight, yeah.
Right? Just soaked a bunch of clock away. So there was if the Cowboys would have kept pace, I think we would have seen the Bears continue to throw, continue to pile up some stats. But you sort of hey, the clock is what we're facing now. Let's try to run this clock, score at the end of it. So some really great stuff. And it's a funny tweet. So let's hit the math portion. Caught up in a numbers game. What number did you have this week?
So I got two numbers this week. It's 4.5.
Okay.
And 5.7.
Okay.
So 4.5 is the Chicago Bears average yards per play last season. Guess where that ranked?
30th.
Dead last, 32nd.
Oh, okay.
This year, again, it's just 3 games, 5.7 yards per carry. That ranks 7th in the NFL right now.
Per play?
Per play.
Yeah.
Per play, 5.7. So they went from 4.5 last year, dead last. This year, early on, a lot of fans are, the offense is still struggling. Well, compared to last year, we're talking it's a top 10 offense right now, which is, again, it's early. It's weird to say, but 5.7 yards per play ranks 7th in the NFL right now. that's a pretty damn good improvement in just 3 games of the Ben Johnson era. That's not bad.
I'm noticing, particularly on social media, that there is a little bit of a focus on the misses. The like, well, that should have been this, that, that should have been caught, that should have been a better throw, that should have been this, that should have been that. And I think there's maybe a little bit too much hyper focus on those sorts of things, because in aggregate, the other team gets paid too, right? And the other team makes mistakes. And I was just thinking about this because I tweeted out that one of the throws that was dropped by Rome, and it's a drop, it is what it is, but it's Caleb threw kind of a wobbler.
The wobbler at the goal line.
It was a little bit of a wobbler, and when it hit his hands kind of weird, and it sort of went sideways. He got hit, and he didn't secure it. And I thought, that's just kind of tough. Like it's not a good ball. It's just a higher degree of difficulty. He gets hit. Like, I know it sucks. It's Rome. He should, you'd want to see him bring that down. And people are like, he's a pro. Our guy say, hey, he's a professional wide receiver. He's got to come down with that. And I think, yes, but watch any of these great wide receivers, the best wide receivers in the game, they're still dropping passes every now and then, right? Yeah. Like, think back to the Brandon Marshall days. Do you guys forget that Brandon Marshall would drop a pass that was right at him? Yeah. Like, it would just happen sometimes, right? Whether it be concentration issues or whatever it was, it happens. And so, a little better ball, I think it's probably a catch. Throw that ball 9 times out of 10. You hope he brings it down, 9 times out of 10, but like, let's not focus too much on the individual misses. Let's focus on the aggregate. And as long as the aggregate's working out, I think we should all be pretty happy. And this was certainly one of those situations where we should all be happy. So my number this week is 28. The Bears have scored 28 first quarter points so far this year. They're outscoring their opponents 28-17. The companion number is 27. That is the number of first quarter points the Chicago Bears scored in all first quarters of last season. That's according to Mark Potash. So the Bears have already outscored their first quarter output from 2024 in 3 games in 2025.
That's ridiculous. That is a Ben Johnson, right? The Ben Johnson effect. Caleb in year 2. Yeah, it's first year of the offense, but here he is. He's seeing the field better. He's playing efficiently. And going back to your point about how let's not focus on the negatives all the time. Look, if every pass was hit, if every catch was made, then the team never loses a game. It's like, that's just not realistic. No team does that. The Chiefs, you watch the Chiefs game, the Chiefs have drops, the Chiefs have misses, the Chiefs have fumbles, right? It happens. It's going to happen. Like you said, let's look at the big picture. And if the Bears are moving forward, that's all we can ask for right now. And the Bears are moving forward. 28 points. My God. Ridiculous.
Last year they were outscored 92-27 in the first quarter. God. And right now they're up 28-17. So what's funny is there's so much concentration on the bad, and then people are going to spin everything. It's like, oh, great. Well, now show it to me off script. Yeah. Right. And it's like, well, okay, well, let's at least acknowledge that the prepared stuff and the on script stuff's pretty great. And generally you get a little better at the rest of the stuff as you learn more of the offense and you get more comfortable. Right. So that seems like a good thing that at least this part is working. Right. And then I saw, well, prove it against the defense that's not, one of the worst in the league. And it's like, you play the schedule in front of you, and all you can do is say, this is the yard marker that I, am holding you up to, and hey, you passed it. Okay, great. Well, now's the next. Now we go on to Vegas, and we do the same thing. Okay, here's our expectations against Vegas, and let's see what happens. Probably just taking that incremental step every week of progress, and go back into the lab in the bye week and come out and see what that looks like against Washington, right? Like, just continue that incremental improvement. The teams that you can beat them. The teams that maybe are a little overmatched, give them a game, maybe get lucky, right? Yeah. And build up to the point where, you can take on anybody on your schedule. So that's the hope. Let's hit Caleb Corner before we go into a break. So Caleb Williams, great game. Great game. 19-28, 298 yards. I think he got robbed The last catch, the last pass that he had, the officials spotted it super short. I do not understand what he was looking at. I think he spotted him literally 2 yards short from where he should have been spotted at the 29 for a 4th and 1. He spotted him at the 27 for a 4th and 3. He finishes with 298 yards instead of 300. Those things don't matter except for the point that a 300-yard game is important in the terms of the record books. So that's my only issue there. He had 4 touchdown passes, no interceptions, no sacks.
No sacks. Let's go.
So Lester gets a week off from sack watch, which is incredible. He added 5 carries for 12 yards. Now the 4 touchdowns, they went to Rome for a 35-yarder, went to Luther Burden on a flea flicker, went to Cole Kmet on a little 10-yard up and over the linebacker, and then DJ Moore back of the end zone, like started to scramble and then just off frozen rope. I asked which one was your favorite on Twitter. I said, hey, like, here's the 4. Give me your favorite. I would imagine that everybody can guess which one won.
Flea flicker, probably.
The flea flicker is going to win because it's a fun play and it's an incredible throw. So from like in terms of just like pure talent, like arm talent, the 62 yards in the air, perfect. You know, Brady kept calling it a dot. I mean, it was just perfect, right? Yeah. And like he had the little lollipop coming back at him, like from Swift. That had to just be like, oh, what's happening?
Did you see the screenshot? Someone shared a screenshot of the ball in the air at the peak of the flip back. No. And you saw Caleb kind of looking at it. When you go back and watch the play, pause it right there. That ball, I'm telling you, it had to feel like an eternity.
What down. In the world? Like, just calm down, ball. Yeah. You know, like that had to just be. Just to keep your composure there, and then just fire one of the best passes that we've seen in a very long time. That's an absolute wonderful throw that I'm just not a lot of quarterbacks can make. Yeah. That won the poll with 62%. Second place was the Rome pass, which I wanted to talk about because that was, people keep calling it the mailbox, which, okay, like they put his arm up, I just think of it more of like a Moss thing. But that's what happened with DJ. And Caleb missed him when he changed his route. He put his arms up and tried to go, and it just, they weren't on the same page of where that adjustment was going to be. And Rome did it here, and Caleb hit him right in stride, and it was a perfect pass and easy touchdown because Diggs tried to jam him at the line.
Yep.
I thought that was a great play in terms of maybe the throw might have been a layup, as Tom Brady said, but it was a great play.
Yeah, at the time I didn't realize that was him freelancing. It wasn't until I saw Adam Johns' he tweeted about it, that was a play where when Diggs jammed him and he fell, Rome just said, to hell with it, I'm going to just take this down the sideline. And him and Caleb, because they have that connection, they both saw it. You said hand up, touchdown. That was those are the kind of plays that, again, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but good receiver quarterback connections have over time. And here it is. They kind of saw it. They felt it. You said he missed DJ earlier in the year. He did not miss Rome this time. So again, small improvement. I thought that was fantastic.
Third place was the Cole Kmet pass. And I think what people like about this was it's a little bit layered. I think layered is like over the linebacker, under the safety. There really wasn't a safety over the top.
Yeah.
But he did pop it over the linebacker and got it down for Cole to be able to come down with it in bounds. So I think that's a nice one. And then the last place, which it was just barely below the Cole, so 9.4% was the DJ Rope. This might be my favorite, and it might be my favorite because one, it was the 19-play drive. They went for it on fourth. This was a 4th and 5 play. It's whatever his first read wasn't there, so he starts to scramble, and as he starts to scramble, it pulls up. It pulls coverage, and DJ's just sitting there. He sees him, and he whips that ball back across his body, and it is just a dead-eyed bullseye. And he's just sitting there waiting for it. And I don't know why. Like I love when a quarterback will keep his eyes downfield, and things will change because he's starting to use that athletic ability, and then whip it. And it was like, I don't know. It was just to me that was everything about it, and it just, to me, it sealed the game. It put it out of reach, and it was just a frozen rope.
it reminded me of the play, and I'm dating myself. There was a movie called Unnecessary Roughness, where the quarterback's scrambling around, and he has this vision of the target he throws to in practice, and he just rifles it in there, and it's just like the receiver's just there, perfect place, perfect timing, touchdown.
Just don't throw it to Stonehands.
Don't throw to Stonehands.
Anything else before on Caleb? Before
real quick, my favorite pass in the whole game, I think, was he had a pass to Luther Burden, which was to kind of set up the last points they got at the half. Where, look, when it happened, I'm like, oh, that's a cool play. But then I saw the end zone view from behind. How the hell does he even see Luther Burden coming across her? It was just like he trusted his guy. He knew where he'd be. He threw it. Right, like I said, you talk about going over the top of the defenders.
Throw for sure.
Oh my God! Like that play is just ridiculous that he made that play there, and it was just. There were 4 or 5 plays in this game where you're like, that's only a play certain guys can make in this world, right? There are certain guys that can make those plays. Certain guys just can't. Certain guys don't even try those passes. Caleb was trying them. Caleb was nailing them, and it was just. Again, it's one game, right? It's 3 games into the season, but the flashes have been there. It's fun.
Like I'm not a golfer, but I like to think of it as how many clubs do you have in your bag, and can you hit them all? And the reason why someone like Caleb Williams is as highly touted and as sought after as he is because he has every club in the bag and he knows how to use it. Now, you might not have all the consistency yet. He may not, know when to pull which club yet in all situations, but that's what Ben Johnson's for, right? And so that's why you're so excited about a guy like Caleb, because he has that ability to make any throw on the field. And you're starting to see more of them in the right situations. And I mean, if he keeps stacking and he keeps, moving this forward, it's going to be a lot of fun. If any of you watch Patrick Mahomes over the last, however many years he's been in the league, that he makes ridiculous throws all the time. And it's really almost like fatigues Chiefs fans to the point where they just expect that's what quarterback play is, right? Like I used to get texts from my friends that were Chiefs fans on Fields, and they'd be like, I don't see it with Fields because blah, blah, blah. I'm like, first of all, you're spoiled. You're spoiled with Mahomes. Like I'm not going to listen to you, right? Like we're judging on different scales here. I hope that we get to that point. I hope that we get to the point where we're so just like burned. We've seen so many throws where we're like, yeah, that was fine. But that's what you start to see these show up more and more. That's where it feels like it's heading. And so that's really it's hard to not be excited about that stuff. If you're a Bears fan, you're being honest with yourself, it's hard to not be excited.
His deep ball struggled last year, right?
Right.
This year, much better. His deep ball percentage is much better. So, we've seen his baby steps. Each game this year, you heard Ben Johnson talk about the improvements. You look at the efficiency. Each game has gotten better. It's not going to keep getting better. At some point, it'll plateau, but come on, 3 games in, let's go. I'm ready.
Can't get too much better. I mean, otherwise you're making every pass. Like you said, like that doesn't happen, right? Yeah. I mean, you play a video game on easy mode, it doesn't happen that way. So, before we hit the break, just want to shout out the merch. I've got a shirt. We're gonna, they're up, man. I think it looks good. The orange, it really pops the logo. Yeah. So if you guys are interested, check out our page. We'll have that on the YouTube. We'll have it in different places on social media and everything. Check us out. If you want to sport some Bear and Balance gear, I encourage it. I think the shirt looks good. Also, I'll use it some other time, but Lester made the funniest rocks glass for, inspired, I believe, by me always bringing on a bourbon and on my show old show Bears Over Beers. And to the point where he's got the logo of the Bears Over Beers with a little, masking tape that says bourbon over it. It's perfect. It's perfectly executed. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I bought it. It's sitting over there on the other side of the room. I'll use it sometime soon, but very creative by Lester. And I think really no bar is complete without a Bears Over Bourbon rocks glass. So make sure you add one of those to your cart as well. We would appreciate the support, of course. And if you do get anything, click a picture, send it to us, tag us on socials, and, we'd love to see what you come up with. Appreciate you giving us some thought.
Yes, of course.
All right, Lester, let's talk about the 3 Bears. Hot bowl of porridge, cold bowl of porridge and just right. A lot of places to go for the hot. Who you got?
Yeah, again, we thought last week was a struggle, right? We had a hard time figuring out what we're going to do here. But this week, look, much like Braxton Jones going from where he went to where he went in this game, I got to go Tyreek Stevenson. He has been talked up like, he's done. His career is over. Obviously, he had a really rough, sophomore season last year, rough start to the year this year. Jalen Johnson's injured now. Kyler Gordon's injured. He is the guy. He has to step up and make some plays. And here he is, 3 tackles. He was physical in the run game. He had a forced fumble that he kind of ripped out of his hands, recovered it. 2 passes defended. 1, I think, came on a real key, third down play. Look, when he was drafted, I loved the pick. I'm like, yeah, this guy is going to be a pretty good football player. Second round draft pick, you expect those guys to hit. Second round corners usually have a pretty good hit rate, right? As a rookie, he struggled. He got better as the year went on. Last year, rough. This year, start off rough. Look, the talent's there. He's got to put it together. And if he can, stack, like we talk about stacking games with Caleb, same with Tyreek Stevenson. Let's stack a few games, and if he does that, maybe the Bears have their second starting corner locked down for the next several years.
First name I wrote down, Tyreek Stevenson. I got to shout him out when he does good work. And, that game early on, but pulling that ball away, very impressive. I'm very curious. It was no doubt in my mind that he pulled that away and he was in bounds. What I don't like and had possession, if he's pulling that ball out, forcing a fumble, does he need 2 feet in to establish possession? Because they were talking about trying to get 2 feet in, or does he just need to have possession on one? It's not a catch.
Yeah.
But does he need to establish possession with 2 feet before he? Is that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because if the ball's rolling around, you just have to have part of your body has to be in bounds before you go out of bounds. Yeah. I guess that was kind of pointless talking about the 2 feet. These guys don't know what they're doing.
It made me question because I'm, sure that Tom Brady knows what he's talking about. So that was interesting, but just yanked it out. It wasn't a peanut punch. This was just I'll take that now, sir. Yeah. And just ripped it away. It was great. Good in coverage. Clearly they weren't going his way. We'll get to that reason here in a minute. Very often, but he stepped up and he's got to be the man, right? He's got to step up.
He had something to prove, right?
Absolutely.
When it was hitting. I mean, I'm sure he didn't have the best experience last year under Flus. Of course, that was the bad Commanders game where he knew what happened there. And I just thought it was great for him stepping up. Of course, with the guy on the other side of the field, he's like, I got to make sure I go out there and show it. And he showed it. And that's a nice game by Tyreek.
Let's carry that forward.
Yes.
Right. You got to put a cardboard cutout of Flus on the opponent's sideline every week. Go ahead and do that. Whatever motivates you, young man. Mine is going to be Luther Burden, the third, 3 catches, 101 yards for a touchdown, and 1 touchdown, including the 65-yarder. Off the flea flicker, but he had that other explosive play, right? Like that, talked about that Caleb throw already. And it's not that I don't expect Luther Burden to be able to do that and show off his speed and whatever, but we haven't seen him on the field much yet, right? He's a rookie, he's coming in. And I just want to say to all the people that are already like, oh my God, the Bears took the wrong tight end. They should have taken Tyler Warren and Colson. It's like, guys, it was before the game, it was week 2. There's 2 weeks in the bag. Let's these guys get their careers off the ground before you start to question the pick, right? Let's chill out a little bit. And I was hearing a lot of the same stuff for Luther Burden. He missed some time and, he wasn't able to hit the ground running and he's catching up and now he's getting a few plays and he seems very willing and excited. And I mean, he's off to a good start to try to be a fan favorite. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to like his reaction that we talked about, yelling, about how excited he was to get in the end zone. That's the kind of stuff that is going to make a fan favorite pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, he's got all the talent in the world. The speed, he's there. He gives the offense a different dynamic. We did see him carry the ball on some. He can do the jet sweeps, the ends arounds. We may eventually see him do some stuff out of the backfield like DJ Moore does. He just that kind of a talent. So, just another weapon for Ben Johnson's offense once things really get cooking here. And, first touchdown in his NFL career, first 100-yard game. That's a good pick. good pick going with Burton.
Flip it around. Cold bowl porridge and a blowout, stuff to go, but I think there's probably a couple spots we can do that with.
There's a couple. I'm going to go with the Bears' run defense. Thankfully, the game script kind of flipped like it did, because if it would have stayed close, I think the Cowboys would have just kept pounding the rock. 5.5 yards per attempt the Bears have given up on the season so far. That's the 31st ranked run defense, 5.5 yards per attempt. They got to tighten it up. And look at what they have across the line there. They got some big body guys. Dennis Allen's defense has always wanted a bigger body there. So you got, Dexter. You got Deo, who's a bigger guy who was more known for stopping the run than he was for rushing the quarterback. Dexter. Big Bill's back, Andrew Billings, right? So you kind of look at what's going on there. I tried to watch it today on the rewatch and figure out what is going on there. It's hard to tell. Maybe they're just not gelling. Maybe they're not used to playing together. We talk about the O-line has to gel. So does the D-line, right? They have to know where each guy is next to them. They're not in their gaps. Gap integrity may not always be there. Maybe missing T.J. Edwards hurts the run defense as well, because he's been out all season. So, they got to turn it around. Hopefully the offense keeps clicking like it does, and then it won't be that big a deal, because then, the other team's forced to pass to catch up. Now you get after it. So, but right now, man, they got to really tighten up that run D, because it looks brutal.
Yeah, that's a good call and kind of unexpected. I mean, when Billings went down last year, they were really bad against the run, but you thought with Billings coming back and a couple other moves that they made, and Dennis Allen, I just thought, it'll be fine. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah. Pass rush, worried about. Not worried about.
Yeah, always worried about the pass rush, particularly when you're bringing in guys like that you're projecting, like Deo, right? Like this, we think this guy could be this. That's why we're going to bring him in and pay him that. So, it's a good call. And if you're going to get into some close games, you're gonna need to get off the field. You're gonna need to stop the run and get off the field. So I like that. I'm gonna go with a different defender. I'm gonna go with Nahshon Wright. Gave him some props earlier this year for making the big play, but boy, he's getting picked on. And I thought that he had an opportunity to have another pick six. He just did not trigger when he should have. He was in position. Yeah. He almost like he started and then he kind of pulled himself back and then let there be an easy catch. I think if he triggers on that one, he's going to get it. He's at least going to break it up, but I think he's probably going to take it to the house. And what happened, man? If you're going to, you got to do it, because you're getting kind of burnt toast everywhere else. Yeah. I think if you get an opportunity like that, you've got to let your instincts take over and go. So I don't know what happened to him. You could tell when he reacted I should have gone after that one. And that probably would have prevented him from being in the space, even though he was getting picked on the rest of the game. You make a huge play like you did previously, you're going to have a lot of your sins forgiven here. But I think overall, clearly this guy has some level of talent, but has not played at a high level for a consistent period of time. So this is probably going to be the guy that other teams are going to pick on over and over until he proves otherwise.
Yeah, I think the Bears obviously are going to meet without Jalen Johnson now for several weeks. They talked about it today, how he is going to have the core surgery, which will give him a chance to come back, in the later part of the season. Look, I'm no doctor, but that, if you're having surgery on your core muscles, that seems like it's going to be rough. But hey, that's how technology is these days. They said he got a good chance to come back. But yeah, with him out, it's going to be right. And hopefully Kyler Gordon comes back soon. He'll help out there. We have seen him play some outside corner in the past. Maybe they make a move there. Maybe they kind of let him play both spots. Who knows how they're going to kind of figure that out. But yeah, Wright's going to have to step up. And there's not really much else help on the roster, because you're missing some other guys there. So they're going to pick on him, and he has to really figure out how to get it over. And that's, again, it goes on Dennis Allen. He has to kind of figure out how to scheme that, maybe scheme some help over the top. Again, if Tyreek can play like this moving forward, that helps you out, obviously, because now, you can help him, because you don't have to worry about Tyreek. But the odds of Tyreek doing this, continuing this, is going to be pretty low, in my opinion. So, yeah, they got to figure out the back end, and part of that is with the pass rush. So let's get a little creative up front. Let's get after the quarterback, and let's hopefully your big ticket items that you paid up front start getting home.
Yeah, pass rush and coverage go together so much, right? You hear a lot of that was a coverage sack, right? So there's times where the coverage is a little better. I think this pass rush would get home and not just be, a pressure. But it'd be nice if you just got some quick pressure that converted into a sack from time to time. That needs to happen as well. So we'll see if this defense starts to click. And somehow this defense is now behind the offense, which I think we all thought it was opposite, camp and coming in, and then the first 3 quarters of the season, it was like, wow, this defense looks really good. The offense is just kind of grinding it out, but okay. And then just kind of a total flip here. So we'll see, but they stepped up. So good for them. All right. Just right. Let's finish it off with, just what you expected.
Speaking of big ticket item doing their job, Montez Sweat, right? 2 tackles for loss. He had a sack. He had a couple quarterback hits. I think I saw Pro Football Focus hit him down for 6 quarterback pressures. That's what you want out of him. He's getting paid a ton of money, right? He's got to get after the quarterback. I think Montez Sweat, again, if you can keep playing like this, and look, we've seen flashes in the past, we know he has this kind of talent. So get after it, right? Get after the quarterback. And look, it always helps when the offense has points on the board, when your offense, that way you can rush the passer. You don't have to worry about your run fit. You could just get down to 3-point stance and go. And that's kind of what we saw happen in the second half. So I think if the offense, like I said, they're ahead of the defense now, which is weird to say, but if that is the case, you may see some more chances for guys like Sweat and Deo and Dexter and Grady, just to kind of get in there and get after the quarterback. And I think that's what you need.
Yeah, game script certainly helps. You pin your ears back when you know they're going to pass, and that's how you rack up a lot of sacks. Basically late in games because you force the other team to have to throw to come back. So, that's a good one. Also a lot of people doubting Montez Sweat because he's not getting sacks, right? So it's nice to, when he actually gets them to be able to record and like settle that crowd down because he's still a good football player. I mean, I watch him like, this is a good football player, but I mean, maybe you want to start doing the like contract thing, like he's overpaid. Well, I don't know. He's a good football player. Yeah. We talked about it at the time. You paid sticker price for him, right? Yeah. Like you paid the draft capital and the contract extension. It's full price. Like you got no discount. He's not going to return excess value. Set it at the moment, but he's still a good football player. Like I don't know why you can't be too disappointed in Montez Sweat being on your football team. He's helping you win, right? Like that's my position. For me, it's the running game. And this is a little bit like, tongue in cheek here, not tongue in cheek, but like, this is what I expected. 29 carries for 83 yards. That's 3 yards a carry. It's not good. It's definitely not good enough. Ben Johnson's not gonna be happy. There were 6 different ball carriers. Swift had 13 carries. Monangai had 6. Caleb had 5. A couple of them were scrambles, but a couple of them were design runs.
I love that. Yeah.
And they were fun. They were good.
Yes.
DJ had 3 carries. Zacchaeus had 1 and Luther Burden had 1. That's what I expected. I expected there to be a lot of the receivers coming in and taking carries to help this backfield because you do not have an RB1. You have an RB2 in Swift. Monangai could be an RB3, right? Everybody's just kind of down 1. Maybe Monangai can improve to be this guy. I'm not counting him out, but like coming into the year, this is what I expected that Ben Johnson would have to do to be able to have a football game, to run a football game, would be to get a lot of guys involved and spread the carries out. And I didn't necessarily think it would be super effective, but hopefully it's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, Swift he has breakaway speed. He's good in space. We saw him on that screen pass, went for 41 yards, I believe it was.
Great touch. Absolutely.
So you want to see him do more of that and less of the between the tackle stuff, which look, we talk about that 19-play drive, right? Swift was a huge part of that. 11 straight runs. The Bears 3 yards a carry during the game, but during that 11 straight runs, they averaged 4 yards a pop. Okay, that's fine. That's how you move the chains. Ben Johnson wanted to impose his will on the Cowboys. He wanted to chew some clock up. I mean, like, when's the last time the Bears called 11 straight runs? I can't remember this happening in a long time. I wish someone would have tweeted that out. I was really curious if someone was going to have that information because that feels like it's something from like the 80s. Like the
I
last.
don't know how you find that.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
I'm sure StatHead has a way to kind of search for it. Don't just make up a number and throw it out there on Twitter and say, "Hey,
Who would do that,
that's
Lester?
ridiculous." So yeah, so I think the running game, that's a good call. This is what we expected, right? Swift is forced as your RB1. Monangai did have that negative 8-yard run, which kind of messed up his average there. He'll learn. He doesn't have the speed to kind of make a play. Like, he's the kind of guy where if it's bottled up, look, I shook my guy, I made a move, I got loose, but you're not going to outrun anybody. You don't have that kind of speed. Go down, live it for another day, or at least get east-west to try and look for some move there. You can't keep going backwards. So, it happens. Where's Roshan Johnson? He has now been back and healthy for 2 straight weeks. He hasn't got a touch in the backfield. I thought he may have been the guy, but, they're obviously content with Monangai. And they're content with Swift, and DJ Moore looks like maybe he may be your RB2. So it's going to be running back by committee until I think next year.
Yeah, I mean, there may have been an opportunity to get, well, obviously at this draft, and they did draft a running back, and there may have been an opportunity to add at cut down day. And there's a couple there, there was a trade. Tank Bigsby was traded, right? So Brian Robinson was traded. So there are a couple of running backs that moved via trade. Bears sat on their hands. So they weren't going to get an RB1 though. Yeah. Like, that's the thing, right? Like, they weren't going to get an RB1 with a trade. No one's trading away their running back heading into the year. They would have maybe added to their committee, right? And they chose to not do so. So we'll see what Ben Johnson can come up with. Would have been interesting to see what would have happened without Swift. He was a game time decision. Yeah. He came in with a questionable tag. So what would have happened if Swift wouldn't have been able to play? But he's just such a different runner out in space. That's why he wants to bounce it all the time. And he's probably been the best athlete on the field for most of his career, right? Like, he's a great athlete, and he's just probably one of those guys that, like, bounced it out in high school every single play because he could, and he would get away with it, and probably did okay in college with that, right? In the NFL level, you get beat up doing that, right? And you do need to run between the tackles from time to time, or you have a partner, backfield mate that can do that, right? So it does feel very incomplete. It seemed kind of obvious to us throughout the whole offseason, and this is what you're going to see, is that DJ Moore is going to grab some carries. Luther Burden's going to grab some carries. It's just, it's all hands on deck, I guess, is the running game. So that's what I was expecting. And so we finally saw that happen this game in terms of the full complement. So anything final before we, maybe chat with the YouTube crowd for a minute?
I just thought it was the game. Like you said, this is the game the Bears needed. They needed it. Caleb needed it. Ben needed it. The franchise needed it. There was a lot of negativity, amongst the national media. It's still happening. Like, look, as good as the Bears look this week, everyone's moving the goalposts now on Caleb and on Ben. And, it was the Cowboys.
Right. Doesn't really count because it's the Cowboys.
Yeah. Well,
do it against a varsity team, not a JV team.
Yeah. The Cowboys looked pretty good week 1 against the Eagles, right? And then they looked horrible week 2 against the Giants. And then here they are this week. And look, again, you play who's on your schedule. They needed this, and now hopefully they can just stack a few. The Las Vegas Raiders aren't the best team. They have some guys. Ashton Genty's a pretty good running back, but he hasn't been able to get going now because their O-line is pretty bad. But now you're facing a Bears defense that is giving up a ton of yards, so this could play into their hands. So how will Dennis Allen kind of counter that and get after Geno Smith? Who's having a pretty good year his own right. So. Again, it's going to be a close game, is my guess. Vegas has it, I think, 1.5 spread right now, so they expect a close game. But look, I would not be surprised if the Bears come out and did something similar because Ben Johnson's the head coach, for crying out loud.
Because Ben Johnson's the head coach, calling plays and working with Caleb Williams to hone that craft, and that's what we are excited about, and we will, of course, be here next week at the same time to talk about hopefully the Bears going 2-2 and going into their bye week at 500 and flipping the script and starting anew after that. So for this one though, we're excited that the Bears got their first victory of the Ben Johnson era, and I don't care who you are, it's great to beat the Cowboys. So that's always fun too. Thanks for joining us this time. Until we see each other next time, bear down. A little quiet today in the Q&A.
A little quiet. Chris Armstrong, she missed the first part of the show, including Trench Tribute. Did you guys see Joe Thuney hauling ass downfield on Swift's big play? I did see that today. I watched the replay, and I'm like, he's already down there. Like, when the play ends, he's right there. So, yeah, it was nice to see your offensive lineman. Look, they love getting on those screens, right? They want to get out there. They want to go chase down those defensive backs and just obliterate them. So, yeah, that's exciting for an offensive lineman to get out in space. They're not very good at it all the time because sometimes they can't catch those little fellas running around. But if you get a hold of them, it's fun.
I didn't see that, but there was a lot of guys moving, so I didn't see it specifically, but that was a fun play.
Yeah, fun play for sure.
All the explosives are fun.
Yeah. Any idea why Dak was checked on Charlie all game? Was our coverage that good, or was he timid? He's normally not timid. Dak's usually pretty open to fire downfield. I think it just part of it might have been Dennis Allen, right? I tried watching that today. I really couldn't tell too much. I went through the condensed game. I didn't have a chance to go through the all 22. But it seems like, from what I saw, that maybe that's kind of how they just kind of schemed it up. Like Dennis Allen wanted to have things stayed in front of him. He wanted them to kind of be forced to kind of go short. How many catches did the tight end have? Like 10, 11?
Yeah, I mean, he had I think 130 targets. It felt like a record. Yeah, I don't know the answer, but when CeeDee Lamb gets hurt, that probably impacts your game plan coming in. And they got that big strike on that big crosser to Turbin. That's his name.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they went downfield a couple times, but I mean, yeah, he might have just kind of sat over the top of him, prevented him from, kept keeping everything in front of him. But I didn't pick up on anything on the quick rewatch.
Yeah. Talking about Roshan, no, he was not. He did not get any snaps on offense. He played 16 snaps on special teams. He had a couple tackles on special teams. He's a good special teamer, right?
Yeah.
But I thought, based on how the room was constructed, he would be your RB2. He would be the guy that kind of, plays that knuckles role to Swift Sonic. It just hasn't happened. Obviously, the injuries have something to do with it. He's now been healthy for 2 weeks, and he's still behind Monangai on the depth chart. So this just might be who he is moving forward.
I don't know if you have to cut him.
Yeah.
And again, you like him on teams. So that's part of it too. I mean, if he's useful for the squad, I wouldn't necessarily expect that he would be cut. So we'll see. The whole league except for Ben Johnson.
A lot of it is, we kind of saw that. I think someone tweeted out today that offensive yards are way down this year. I saw some people kind of speculate because a lot of too high shell being played by defenses. Defenses are trying to take away the big plays. I mean, it's kind of like an ode to the old school Bears Tampa 2, right? They want to keep things in front of you. They don't want to give up big plays. They don't want to give up those explosives because those are really game-changing plays, right? They want to force you to kind of work your way down the field, make you run the ball, make you check it down, and then hopefully, you get a peanut punch or two in there and you take the ball away.
What's old is new again, right? I mean, just it's cyclical, right? It's what football is, right? It's just sort of, you got faster. You brought in you took out your fullback, so you have a slot wide receiver. Okay, we're gonna play nickel to counter that. You're playing pretty light. Okay, we're gonna bring in an extra tight end. We're gonna play heavy packages, and we're gonna do this. And it's like, okay, well, we're gonna do this then, right? It's just this constant back and forth evolution, and it's part of why I like Ben Johnson so much is that he's not from the Shanahan tree. And so, I think a lot of these you get Kyle Shanahan, he's a great play caller. He's going to win a lot of football games. Like, I'm not down in that, but you get a lot of variance, and unless you've got like a McVay variant that's like very potent and good, some of these other kind of off-brand ones, but these defenses are going to see these similar concepts and schemes all the time, so they're going to be pretty familiar with them. Well, Ben Johnson's got like a different background, and he's mixing and matching different things that really haven't been done at that level. So you're kind of to me, he's more his own guy. And so when he's facing a defense, it's different for them. So to me, that's really interesting. I think advantage is that it's not, Bears are going to be running something that's not what the whole league is running all the time.
It's just funny. Ben Johnson's influences in the game are guys like Adam Gase, John Shoup.
Yeah. I mean, like you don't want to like say the names too loud.
It's just so funny because, these are guys that have been like, they don't have the best reps among Bears fans, but these are kind of his influences. And I say influences because it's just an influence. He doesn't run their offense. He runs his offense. And I think you hit the nail on the head saying that it's not a copycat thing where he's kind of running a Shanahan scheme. And we kind of saw Flus why he brought in the guys he did, because he wanted that kind of scheme because it's so hard to defend. Well, how many years now has that scheme been around the league? There's a lot of tape on that scheme. So if you're not constantly innovating like Sean McVay in Los Angeles, you're not constantly innovating what you do. We see it happen with Shanahan. Some of his disciples may not always be so on the cutting edge, but Ben Johnson's doing his thing. That's his own thing right there. So it's kind of nice to see. We gotta do one more before we get out of here. Tremaine Edmonds, 15 tackles, 2 picks, outstanding game. Got the game ball from Ben Johnson. Yeah, good game for him. All over the field. You love to see.
Yeah, I suppose that's an admission. It wasn't, it wasn't because we don't like it or anything like that. It wasn't, we weren't trying to be mean. I think. Tyreek Stevenson, he's been struggling, right? And then he had a great game. I don't know that Edmonds has been struggling necessarily. Some fans like to pile on. Again, like if a guy makes a lot of money, you do expect him to play good football. So I think that's part of it. But he's uber athletic, and making a couple plays that he did, not surprising to me because that's the type of athlete that he is, right? And racking up the tackle. I did not realize he had 15 tackles. That's pretty impressive.
And he's still very young. I mean, he was drafted, I think, at 20, so he's still got some football left. And it's it's funny that he was brought in for Flus's defense, and here he is, just Flus on the other sideline. Here he is, look, showing him what he's got.
Yeah, I think the joke at one point was like we needed to trade Edmonds for Parsons when Parsons was getting talked about being traded, and you got to give Flus his middle linebacker. Like you got to give him. Maybe he'll take him for Parsons.
Yeah, Sanborn, he's good.
Because he's got Sanborn. Yeah, that's right, and Reddy Stewart.
I didn't even know Reddy Stewart was still in the league. That was a shock to me when I saw him out there. I knew he was in the league. I didn't know he was on an active roster.
I liked Reddy Stewart a lot. So it doesn't surprise me that Flus brought him in. So, all right. Well, that's pretty good stuff for us. We'll get out of here. Go watch some football tonight, guys, and cheer for the good team that's playing the bad team tonight. And we'll see you next week.